Welcome to Career Pro Tips by Life in the Green Room. Life in the Green Room is all about helping busy professionals who want more from their career. We provide action-oriented, tool-based plans and programs to help you take action and start driving your career where you want to go. Career Pro Tips is a weekly video series where we dive into one specific topic or question and give you strategies, tactics, and tips that you can apply right away if that's a topic that's really relevant to you. My name is Heather Green McGlynn, and I'm the Vice President of Marketing at a Fortune 500 company. I have used these tips and strategies, and I have seen my peers, my colleagues, and my team use them. I know that they will help you start taking ownership of your career. Welcome to episode number 34 of Career Pro Tips. Today we're going to talk all about self-talk. Now this is an extension of last week's episode where we talked about thinking patterns. Now thinking patterns and self-talk may seem a little bit frou-frou and they may seem more like they fall into the realm of personal development, but I can assure you that they are impacting your career and the rest of your life. If you have really negative thinking patterns or negative self-talk that isn't serving you, of course it's going to come out in your career. Of course you're going to be seen as somebody who has a negative attitude or is always seeing the bad side of things, or is grumpy, or doesn't want to take on new challenges, or is fighting every issue that comes up. And so they are super important because they will absolutely impact your career trajectory and your ability to go after the career that you want. We talk so much here in Career Pro Tips and in Life in the Green Room about owning your career and going after the career of your dreams that you design. And you absolutely have to have the right mental state in order to be able to do that. You have to understand that it might be some work that takes some intention and some planning and some thought, and that you can actually do it and you can achieve anything that you're going after. So thinking patterns and self-talk are definitely strongly correlated and related to your career success. So on the thinking patterns, we were talking about specific things that you think that are ingrained in you, but today I want to talk about self-talk. So self-talk is really that voice in your head that's always there with you, and sometimes, to be super blunt, she's a real bitch. And that is the honest truth. So many times we talk to ourselves worse than we would talk to any other human. And so understanding that and recognizing it can be a great place to start in order to improve that and improve your thinking patterns as well. So today I'm going to talk about 6 different things for you to consider when trying to understand and address your self-talk. This is something that could really be dove into in great detail. So I'm just going to highlight a few things for you to consider. When I talk about self-talk, I am talking about the tone, the language, the words, all of it. All of that is kind of wrapped up into how you're seeing the world. So the first thing I want you to think about as a potential starter for you under self-talk is, what would you do if you loved yourself? I know, a little frou-frou, but please bear with me. We will get back to some more traditional topics here on Career Pro Tips. But again, this came from the Sherry and Nancy show. I mentioned that last week. But they asked this question of saying, what would you really do if you loved yourself? And if you think about that, there's so many things that we do quickly and harshly and incorrectly and are brutal to ourselves because we're in a hurry, we are expecting a lot of ourselves, and we don't treat ourselves with the respect that we deserve and the language and the self-talk that we deserve. I mentioned last week about gliding through life. They talk about that as well. And it's like, okay, having that mentality alone can really shift how you talk to yourself. And here, I just want you to be aware of that. If you answer that question and you don't feel good about how you've been acting toward yourself, then that's a good indication that you should look out for words you're saying in your self-talk and ways that you can improve it. Another simple one is to try meditation or a mantra. So if you can find a really positive, helpful mantra that you can get behind whenever you are being negative on yourself, try to go back to that mantra or try to go back to that meditation. I like that as a very simple way to kind of help recognize your self-talk. I would like to just offer up the suggestion number 3 of stopping when you notice you're beating yourself up. It sounds really simple, but we don't do it. I kind of alluded to this earlier, but often we talk to ourselves worse than we would talk to any other human. And that's not okay. Like, we shouldn't have the harshest, most negative words coming at ourselves versus everyone else. If this is not how you would talk to your friend or your colleague or somebody who asks you for advice, then don't talk to yourself that way. When you catch yourself doing it, kind of say, okay, what would I tell a friend? What would I tell somebody else? And try to reframe that as the baseline for how you should talk to yourself. The next thing I want you to think about is, do you have noticed that there are patterns or areas where you are especially negative with yourself? Is it when you get really stressed, or is it when you get really tired, or is it when something goes wrong, or when you overeat, or who knows? But if there's a particular time that you notice a trigger that you're really nasty with yourself, start to recognize that and think about what you can do to say, at least I'm going to pause. Even if I can't fix the negative self-talk, at least I'm going to say, you know what, Heather, you are not doing the right things here. Let's just take a deep breath. We'll come back and revisit this issue later. That's going to at least push you in the right direction to start to improve your self-talk. The 5th thing I want you to consider is, if you really don't know, if you're not able to catch yourself in the moment and you can't think about situations where you have negative self-talk, maybe set aside some time at the end of the day. 10 minutes is probably all you need. Think through your day and say, okay, now that I'm out of the craziness of life, do I see times where I really wasn't as kind to myself as I needed to be, or I really didn't have the self-talk that I needed, or I didn't give myself the confidence I needed, I put myself down? And that may be a great way for you to notice when you have negative self-talk and find opportunities for you to identify thinking patterns and ways that you could improve how you embrace yourself in the life you're going after. And the last thing I want you to think about, tip number 6, is, do you have specific words that you just need to replace and get out of your vocabulary as a way to improve your self-talk? This is one I'm kind of toying with as an idea. I've heard people say, like, they no longer say the word hard in their vocabulary. I was thinking about, maybe I no longer include the phrase I can't. So when I start to hear myself saying I can't, I want to replace it with I can, or I will be able to eventually, or I'm on my way, or it's a journey, or something like that, that might be more helpful and a more positive way to recognize something that I'm working towards. So if you have a particular phrase, word, area that you're really struggling with, maybe consider just saying, I can't even use that word anymore. I just used can't. I shouldn't use that word anymore. What else can I say to improve my thinking patterns and my self-talk in this area? So that's what I have, some 6 different tips for you to think about for your self-talk. I would love to hear where you've been struggling with this and how you've been working on your self-talk and how you've seen improvements in that in your life. So leave me a note here. And until next week, here's to owning your career journey.